to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. I go by the name of Uncle Junior, and with me are today's co-hosts and Wolfpack members, John, Big Man, Big Greasy Washington, Antoine, the other artist, Christopher. I just called him Big Greasy because right before we came on, we both was back here eating, like over here, feeding our face over here.
I was like, there's got to be a story behind that greasy.
Got to, man. Brother.
Man. And as y'all see, whoever's out there, thank y'all for joining the show today. You see, we are three right now, but Vic had something to do. Everybody got a lot of stuff moving and shaking right now, which is a good thing. Holiday season coming up, all those good things. So I appreciate everyone who is here today on the panel and everyone who is watching live at home right now. I appreciate you today on the panel and all the servicemen out there, all those different things like that, man. We salute you. We salute you, women. All those good things. We appreciate you so much. On today's show, man, before we even get started, man, how y'all doing today? I know we got started a little bit late, so hold on. Before I get into that, I apologize. Had a little technical issues back here. A couple other things going on, but we are live and we are ready to roll with the show. And before we get started, man, how y'all gentlemen doing today?
Excellente, man. No complaints on this end.
Yeah?
Yep, blessed. Truly blessed. Yep.
What about you, John?
I'm good, boss. I'm good. I'm making it.
Yeah, I like to hear it, man. We was back here talking about life insurance, man, and stuff like that before we came on, and we was having a real deep conversation about it and stuff like that. So, if that's something y'all like to see on the show, leave it in the chat. Maybe we'll have a show. We're gonna have a show about life insurance anyway. Just because I think it's just good information. Whether
you get life insurance, don't tell your wife.
You said you get life insurance, don't tell her. Why not?
That's a lot of Dateline ID. Don't tell her.
No. Hey, Antoine said you get life insurance. Do not tell your wife.
Now, what kind of women he be messing with?
I know, right? That ain't the right one.
I watched Dateline ID. It's a serious thing. They say you should not disclose that to anyone, not even your wife, unless it's necessary.
Yeah, that's them women that you paying for. You're not supposed to disclose them. You supposed to tell them nothing.
How's she gonna collect the benefits?
No, you tell her you get it and all that, but just don't tell her you got it. Just say you're getting it, you're getting it, you're getting it, you're getting it.
Oh, just like wheel or something.
Well, look, you ain't gotta worry about that with my company. We got stuff that's set up in there. If you decide that you want to try to knock your spouse off and you got a policy with us, when we find out you don't get paid.
Oh, I like that.
It depends on how big the life policy is.
I don't think it's worth it on any of them, but that's back in the day, that back during them hunting seasons while all them white folks was getting popped. That was what was going on. They knew, he got $1 million life insurance policy. I'm gonna take him out.
Well, speaking of successful relationships, Antoine, Today we're going to be talking about valuable skills that men need to have for successful relationships. We can cater this towards women, but I don't think we necessarily need to stick there. I think we can talk about relationships, in our lives outside of relationships as well. Personal lives, relationships with other men, relationships with coworkers, all of those different things. So we can just feel free to jump outside of the box of just talking about women if you guys want to. I'll start off by this. These little talking points. I believe the first step for a man when he is ready to be in a relationship with a woman is to know who he is and what he needs in a woman. Part of knowing who you are means you know what your strengths and weaknesses are. As men, we are constantly evolving and learning skills in order to be better. If you want to have a successful relationship with a woman, there are some skills you should have that will increase the odds of this happening. But what are those skills? You can ask most people this question and most will have a response, but how much of their answer will lead to a successful relationship? On today's episode of Elevated Dialogue, we want to highlight some of these skills we have learned or are learning in order to have a more successful relationship. Everyone on the panel has had a failed relationship and has learned something from it. Our experiences are our reality, and hopefully something you hear on this episode can add value to your life. Hashtag cheat code. So, where y'all want to start with this, man?
I want to go back to what you were saying about we can target women with it. One thing I say is, and I want the women and the men to understand this about relationships. That crap, happy wife, happy life, is the biggest bullshit that was ever said. It is the biggest bullshit, because if both of y'all ain't happy, I don't give a damn about her happiness. It's you gonna eventually affect. If you're not happy, you're gonna eventually affect her happiness, which is gonna affect the kids' happiness. It's gonna affect everybody around you. So it needs to be happy family. Everybody's happy. And that's it. That's the big. I hate hearing that shit. I still see women talk about it, and I know it had to be either some old little simple ass Negro that came up with that shit, or a toxic ass woman that thinks that her happiness is supposed to be above the husband's. Both of y'all are supposed to be happy in the relationship. No matter about how you get there, it's a matter of both of y'all being there.
I'll even say this. I'm already a happy person. I'm good. And I will look for only you to be happy coming into my life, because I am a happy person. I'm good. I'm not lonely. I'm alone. And I'm very happy. So I know that. And how do you say that thing that you called about? I know myself. I know my habits. I know I'm molded already, stuck in my ways. I'm not compromising my work for nobody, no woman, no wife, no nothing, because it has nothing to do with my personal life. And I think that it's very important, what makes you happy as a man, what keeps you happy as a man, and what you're looking for. And if you're going into a relationship with a woman, have your ducks in a row. Have your ducks in a row, and if you have your ducks in a row, you're going to be able to afford what you can get, because being in a relationship costs money. It does. Rather you struggle together. I don't believe in that struggle love crap. Just like I don't believe in what he just said about happy wife, happy life. I'm happy. If she ain't happy, that's on her. That's nothing to do with me. My job is not to make you happy. We should be happy together. We should come together in happiness. The only thing that we should worry about is what doesn't make us happy, right? So I would definitely say that.
So whose responsibility is it to make each individual happy?
The one in the mirror, themselves. You make yourself happy. There's nothing a woman could do to make me happy. I'm already a happy person. What is she gonna do to make me happy? If anything, we should be happy together in the presence of each other's company, because we get along.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that, because the reality of it is this: if you're in a relationship with somebody, they have to do things to make you happy. Otherwise, you're not gonna be in a relationship.
When you say do things,
you can be happy, but that person has to do things that makes you happy. Because
give me something that they have to do. Like you say, do things. What's the thing?
I can't give you something, because that's determined by you. But for me, if I'm with a woman, things that will make me happy is like what we talked about on the last show, showing appreciation. As there's different things that everybody requires to continue to be happy. It's not about her being the basis of your happiness. You are at the basis of your happiness. But as for being in a relationship, when you're in a relationship, that other person has to do things to make you happy, because it's just what you're saying is basically like saying that if she's responsible for her happiness, you're responsible for your happiness. That's true. The basis of that is true. But the reality is, if you're in a relationship with somebody, she's got to do something to make you happy. Otherwise, what's the purpose of being with her?
Well, let me be more specific then. When I said she doesn't have to do anything to make me happy, meaning that she doesn't have to cook, clean, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, she has to do what she needs to do as a woman. She's going to know her role like I know my role as a man. And she's not going to have to do anything particularly for me to make me happy, right? I'm just saying that you should be happy with her because you chose her and she chose you. Now, when you come together in common ground, you're going to find what she likes and what she don't like. She's going to find out what you like and what you don't like. But what I don't expect her to do things to make me happy. That's already understood that I'm happy. If anything, I'm hoping she does things that doesn't make me happy. You know what I mean? Because that would be like, whoa. Because then
if you don't expect her to do things that make you happy, then do you expect her to do things that make you unhappy?
Well, she shouldn't do. She shouldn't do things either way. It should be just a coexistence. We're
That's
coexisting.
easier said than done. That's a
I've been in a
dream.
relationship before. It's perfect that way. That way, there's no confusion. She understands her role. I understand mine.
But
Right? I mean, we are happy
it's
together.
perfect, if it's perfect that way, why aren't you still in that relationship?
Oh, well, she cheated. And when you even look at another man, I'm done. I mean, you don't need me.
But that goes back to what I said about if she has to do things to make you happy, because if you feel like, just like you said, if she looks at another man, then that's gonna make you unhappy. If that makes you unhappy, then
give me some things. Give me some things. You keep saying what are things?
I'm trying to. If you'll be quiet,
like roll over.
But I've been asking for the last 5 minutes. I'm like,
I got one. I got one. It's 2:00 in the morning. You roll over and you give it a nudge, and she go on and get up. No questions asked. She's like, I'm down. You gonna be that? You be happy after that?
Say that again.
I said 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
She sleep. You wake up. You give her the nudge. Right.
Right.
She complies. She like, I've been waiting on you to nudge me. After everything go down, you gonna be happy? There was something that she did, and y'all both did it.
Right. Exactly.
Time, you be happy after that.
Happy. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you guys are saying the same thing. Like, the basis of your happiness is not determined by another person.
Bingo.
That comes from within your own self, and you blah blah blah. But there are some acts of service or some things that your partner or your wife can do that do make you happy. And I think I think you guys are pretty much saying the same thing.
I just don't believe that people should depend on your wife or anything like that to make you happy.
Oh, absolutely. And I think John agrees with that as well. Like, not depending on them for you to happy. Like,
I believe if she loves you, she's taking care of you, she's doing what she needs to do, automatically you're gonna be happy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's part of her relationship. That's not anything extraordinary.
Yeah, I think someone said something last week about peace and stuff like this. Like, we already got peace. I already have the peace. Just don't mess it up. Don't come in with your negative energy. You know what I mean? Bringing negative energy and unpeace into my life. Is unpeace a word?
Say it again.
We're gonna for the night. We're gonna say that's a word.
Word unpeace. Yeah. Shout out to the word unpeace.
It is now.
Hey, shout out to Benjamin Unbutton. Appreciate you for this comment. Open and honest communication and how we as men need to let go of ego and pride when it comes to relationships to effectively communicate and become better listeners as well as talkers. What do you guys say about this comment?
I agree 100%. It all goes back to what you said before about knowing who you are. And everybody says that they communicate well. Everybody feels like they communicate well. But the thing about it is this: communication is not something that you just automatically are good at. It's a daily process that you get better at that you should get better at as you get older. Because you don't know you don't like something that you've never experienced until you actually experience it and feel like, damn, I don't like this. So it's your everyday learning process. Your communication skills are supposed to be better, and everything that he just said is basically falls under, if you got good communication skills, yeah, we can work. We can work.
Exactly. Yeah, communication skills are huge, man. Like, and the thing about it, like, you mentioned they're constantly evolving. Like, when you come on a show, like, there's a different way that you communicate than Antoine. You know what I mean? So I'm learning how to communicate with Antoine. I'm learning different ways, different mannerisms about you to try to effectively communicate with you on the show as well. So you know what I mean? And this applies to, especially in relationships, and then as we all evolve and as we gain more information, our communication skills and the information that we have to communicate with also changes. You know what I mean? Like, when you go to the military and you go to Iraq or you go to Kuwait or something like that, like, all of those different experiences, maybe the certain languages and mannerisms that you pick up for certain people, like, all of those things get added to your life. And then you have all of these extra tools that you can use to communicate more effectively with other people. So communication and relationship is freaking huge no matter who you're in a relationship with.
Oh, go ahead, Anton.
No, go. Look, no, this is good. I was just gonna say that's great. Yeah.
Well, me personally, I feel like a lot of people try to say what they feel like the basis of a good relationship is. I think communication is the basis of any good relationship, because if we can communicate, we can disagree and still be cool. You know what I'm saying? If that's male friendships, female friendships, anybody. If we can communicate, we can get past anything. I think good communication or being able to communicate, period, is a way to create the basis of a great friendship or a great relationship, period.
And
that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. Again, like I love communicating. I'm an extrovert. I'm definitely not an introvert, right? So I'm gonna say what's on my mind. I'm gonna mean what I say. I'm gonna do it when I say it. I don't like to be, oh, is that what you meant? Oh, no, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask the tough questions because I like that. I think that clears everybody's cards are on the table. Is there a nice way to say it? Yes. Is there a proper way to say it? Yes. Do I believe in timing, the best time to say something? No. I'm just going to say it when it comes to my mind because, there's never the right time to tell anybody something. The right time is when it comes to your mind because then you'll forget. And then after that, it gets pushed to another day. And I love communicating because I have such strict things that go around in my life and how I am as a man. And I have strict rules in how I operate. I communicate everything. That way she cannot say she didn't hear it from me, and this whole, I go as far as to say, if I want to talk to you, you don't want to talk to me, no problem. Then after that, I want to talk to you. You don't want to talk to me. I give you 3 shots. Then I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear when you come down from your mood or your high horse and, okay, now I'm ready. No, I was done. Right? Because I want to make it clear because I'm in a good space right now. At the time I wanted to talk to you about it, you said it wasn't good, came back again, said it wasn't good, came back again, and you're like, not now, no problem. Now I'm done because I'm not asking you, right? That's how far I go with my communication, and vice versa.
I want to hit on this. Become better listeners as talkers. How do we know if our communication is being effective or not with our partner or with our wife or whoever we're with? Like, how do we know that it's effective?
I would say by her actions. If she changes in certain ways, if you see that she's putting effort, things take time to change, right? It doesn't happen overnight. You don't expect to say it and she's or he or she or anything.
Not even necessarily that it has to do with anybody just changing. Just how do we know in general, like and I was not necessarily guilty of it. I mentioned it last week, and I kind of pushed back on someone, and I said, well, I do believe that men are good listeners. But I challenged myself to after the show, I started thinking about, well, how do I know if I'm good at communicating? You know what I mean? Like, how do we know what's our test? What is our test as men to say, you know what? I know that my communication skills are up there. It's easy for us to say that, but can we really look in the mirror and say that my communication is really effective? And if it is effective, how do we know that? How do we determine if we are effective communicators?
I think it's your outcomes. Your outcomes. If you're a good communicator and you think you're getting your point across and you're advancing, it's your outcomes that's going to tell you if you're not, right? Especially if you're in certain situations.
I agree with that. I feel like the outcome is going to show you, but also to me, I think it's going to be different for everybody because, like you said, everybody communicates differently. But I think another way to tell is also the how people respond. Not just the outcome, but the immediate response to people when you're talking to someone. If you're, because Chris across the table just said it, but that was one of the things I was going to say. When you're talking to people and it doesn't feel like an attack, you can usually read a person's body language by how they're reacting. If I'm talking to you, especially when you face to face with people, it's totally different than like being on video like we are now. When you're talking to people in person, you can kind of read their body language. Like if a person's not paying attention, they kind of looking around, whatever. or if you're intimidating the person, they can't look you in the eye, or they're looking down. And I'm not even gonna say that that's all the time, because I'm not intimidated easily, but I don't always look people in the eye, because things that I was told as when I was younger, I don't always look everybody in the eye when they're talking. But if you one of those people that actually feeds off of that type of energy, I can tell, and I will look you in the eye. But body language is a big way of telling when someone's actually receptive of what you're saying.
Yeah.
You like that, Antoine?
Yeah, I really do. And he's right. You know, he's right.
I like that comment too. Thanks, Chris. I see Chris didn't join. Well, he's been joined. He's in the background. He's doing some things right now. But Chris said, I think the best way is to communicate in a way that doesn't seem like an attack on the person, but a critique of the behavior being discussed.
Even with that critique, when it comes to, and I hate, I'm sorry for any of the women that's watching right now, I'm gonna be completely honest. Even with critiquing, women don't tend to take critiques the best way. Men don't either, but when it comes to men and women in relationships, women tend to not be as receptive to being critiqued, because a lot of times they feel like they're being attacked. And it goes back to a lot of be
good, babe.
Be in a good headspace if you're in a relationship. And like I said, that's for me, that's one of the reasons why I step back from relationships, because it's just if you don't have the clarity mentally to be in a relationship, you're gonna fuck up every relationship you're in. And it can happen to the best of us.
Yeah, and you know what? It's true, because that's a that's a
speak on it, Antoine.
No, it's just that he's right what he says. I lost my chain of thought for a second there because I was so focused on what he was saying. You know, like you, when it comes to women, right? There is no, it's like women are like cats, man, temperamental. Men are like dogs, shit anywhere, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. But with women, you really have to know the person you're talking to, because they don't want to hear it directly. They don't want to hear directly, right? And you know, when you say it, they always hear the word all, or always, or all the time. They don't hear it in sections. And you really have to be descriptive with women as in explaining it to them. And because, like I said, they're different than men. You know, men, you could throw something at them and they'll put 2 and 2 together and it'll equal 4. You know, women, you got to kind of break it down to 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4, like that. You know, so you have to communicate with them a different way. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's what a lot of people think, and it's kind of like they may be more emotional, so they respond and react to criticism with emotion, and men generally tend to not. So if I'm like Antoine, you need to, I don't know, you need to be on time for the show, you know what I mean, or something like that. You'd be like, all right, well, you're right, I probably need to be on time for the show. And maybe if I tell let's say a woman in this situation, she may not respond to it like that. She may respond more with an emotion.
You should have let me know exactly what time it was.
Or you should have texted me ahead of time.
Yeah.
You should send me a reminder.
It's funny because a professional woman would say, "What do you mean I'm not on time? I've been on time for the last." She'll go with what she was and how she was, but you're actually just sticking to this one time, right? And they'll bring up the good stuff that they've been doing. So why are you picking on me for this one time? You know,
I wouldn't even say the professional. I feel like a lot of them is the maturity. Because like he said, you say that to Antoine, he might be like, okay, yeah, my bad, and brush it off. But I feel like a lot of times people fail to realize that you don't have to accept all criticism. You don't have to accept all critiques. If you tell me that, and perfect example. I don't know if y'all follow me on Instagram, but I got a page on Instagram, and every now and then, because I have my own barbecue business, I'll post something that I cook sometimes. And I actually cooked in the kitchen the other day, which I hate doing. Fucking hate cooking in the kitchen. But anyway, I cooked and I posted something. Well, a girl that I posted on her page got on there and told me that the food looked what she say? It looked like it wasn't seasoned or something. all I said was thank you. Because it was like I laughed because anybody that knows me knows that I use a lot of seasoning, but I'm not an over seasoner. You know, everything that you cook, you don't have to see the seasoning for it to be seasoned good. So she did all that, and all I said was thank you, because what I look like arguing with somebody on social media. Like me and Vic, I've laughed at Vic so many times because he'll make that post about what I look like arguing with somebody on Facebook that your credit score is lower than your weight. Like it'd be the most random people, but the funny thing is the reason why she commented is because she made a post and all I said was, hey, trying to be nice about it. She posted some shrimp that was undercooked, and you can see that was undercooked. I just said, hey, them shrimp look kind of undercooked. And try to keep it better. She didn't get on my page to be nice. She got on there trying to be funny. But the thing is, I'm smart enough and I'm mature enough. I ain't fixing to argue with you. Well, she whatever she said, I was just like, thank you, and I went about my business. Because you gotta be mature enough to understand everything ain't got to be an argument. I got a partner before I got married. He used to always tell me, man, pick your battles. And I heard my daddy say it, but I ain't really take it in, you know what I'm saying? But my partner kept telling me that. He was like, man, you got to pick your battles. And then when I got married, I realized what he was saying. Everything ain't got to be a fight. Everything ain't got to be an argument. Sometimes you can be like, okay, you know what? You're right. Even if they wrong, you're right. Just to avoid the unnecessary argument, you're right, and go about your business.
Yeah.
Because your piece should be more valuable than that argument anyway.
That's a valuable tool. That's a valuable skill that men need to have in order to have successful relationships.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Knowing when to win and what to give your energy to. You know what I mean? Like you said, pick your battles. Like everything don't need to be talked about. Everything don't need to lead to an argument. Some things just like, dude, it just ain't worth it. Like, just let it go. You know what I mean? Or talk about it another time or whatever. What about you, Antoine? You agree with that?
Yep. It's funny because I had a situation like that where I over communicated, right? Because it got to the point where I was trying to make myself so clear, but in a sense, I over communicated and then the person overthought the problem. They overthought it instead of just, yeah, I got it, and then doing it. They replayed it in their head so many times. I think they just messed up on when they had to execute it. So there's that balance you have to have there, right? And at one point you have to trust that they're gonna do it. you just gotta trust them. But and I'll say this about communicating with women. I just say it. I don't want you second guessing it. I don't want to make no misunderstanding. If you want to know that dress looks pretty on you, ask me because I'm going to tell you. That's just the way I
don't
see it.
ask me.
Yeah. Listen, I draw women for a living, and I'm telling you, I'm going to let you know.
Look, I'm pretty sure both of y'all older than me, so I'm pretty sure y'all know this, but I'm going to let y'all in on the secret. 9 times out of 10, if a woman is asking what she looks like in something, she knows she does not look like she wants to look. She knows that she's not comfortable with how she looks. So she's asking because she wants you to try to comfort her and make her feel better about it. This is something an older woman told me years ago. And the reason why I say don't ask me, because I'm going to tell you it's true. If you ask me how I look and you don't look good, that ain't you.
So if she's a little plump, she's gaining a little extra weight, a little baby fat, and the child is 14 years old. You know what I mean?
No, because I ain't gonna attack her like that. Not because I'm gonna tell you the reason why I say that, because I'm a big dude. My ex-wife and me and her had a conversation a long time ago before we stopped talking. But she had a friend that was like that. The girl had a baby, and the guy that she had the baby by started talking about it because she had gained weight. And she actually, my ex-wife had
married?
Huh?
Were they married or they just?
No, they wasn't married. They was just she got together. The baby. Yeah, they wasn't together. But the dude started talking about her because of that, the baby weight. my mentality was this with my ex-wife. I never cared if she gained weight or not. It wasn't an issue because it wasn't like she was a toothpick when we met. So for her to gain a little weight, that was never an issue. I never cared about that. As long as she was happy and healthy, that was all that mattered. And I'm still like that. When it comes, I feel like we put too much attention in how the physical appearance of a woman. Now I agree that everybody is going to be attracted to what they're attracted to. And I also agree with, we talk about it in the group sometimes, but I also agree with how if you get in a relationship, you shouldn't just let yourself go to the point where it's almost disrespectful to let yourself go to a point to where it's like, okay, you can gain 100 pounds. When we met, you wasn't that, I get that. I agree with that because it does borderline disrespect to the person, because if you care about that person, you want them to be happy with you. But the thing that I think we put too much emphasis on with appearance is women think this, and then I know this is going to be another show and it's something that, but it borderlines with what we're talking about tonight, especially with tools. If a woman looks good physically, it does not need to be emphasized because there are a whole lot of beautiful ugly bitches, and y'all know what I mean when I say that. They physically gorgeous, but when they open their goddamn mouth, when they show what type of attitude they have, they are ugly as hell. So it's take the emphasis out of what she looks like, because I know a lot of good looking women. Most of my friends on Facebook are good looking women, but the reality is their attitudes ain't worth a shit. So one of the things that I say that we definitely need to have as a tool in having a good relationship is being able to recognize more than the physical appearance, because that's just only skin deep. That can be changed as well. But the attitude, that shit ain't easily changed.
Shout out to Antoine. Antoine said facts. Facts on that.
It's too. You know that. Go ahead.
You muted, Antoine.
Women don't understand. Their beauty gets us over there. Their mouth is what keeps us there. They don't get that. It's like the beauty will walk over there if you're hot. But the minute you open your mouth, that's what determines if we stay. You know what I mean? I don't mind. Like, I upped my game in every other area. I can't do nothing about my height, but you can do something about your work, right? I understood at a very early age, height and looks goes out the window when you're standing on your wallet. I get that. And I'm all for that. But you know what? 2 tons of fun doesn't make me happy because I'm not rolling over anybody in flour. That's not happening. It's not. And women got to understand that. You know what I mean? If they want a man making 100K, that's cool. Do you look the part of the women that steps out of these men's cars? Because I can tell you, as I have friends, you ain't cutting it. There's a certain level that these men look for. And if these men can't carry you over the threshold, they're not marrying your fat asses. It ain't happening. So you can want what you want, but you can't expect delusional results. That's all I'm saying. And communicating is very important. If I'm with my wife and, I'm blessed to have kids, of course she's going to gain 50 pounds for the baby, maybe 60. I don't know how that works. But as long as she's doing her best to get it off and she's doing it as best as she can, she's eating right, she's doing this, she's doing that, I'm good. I think that's the best thing you can do for a man, to show him that you can get back the elasticity of the skin and go, wow, look at the job. That's, to me, is making me happy. There you go. That's something that would make me happy.
That's Antoine Christopher, 555. No, I mean, I don't think that there's anything, wrong with having preference. And I think that's it goes back to the communicating piece too. Like when you're in a relationship with someone, is you have to communicate, your expectations of what you want out of the relationship. Both parties have to express that to each other. And if you prefer to have a taller man or a shorter man, or a shorter man who's taller because he's standing on his wallet, or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? Or, like you said, if you got a Lamborghini, I don't know, what's one of them little teeny cars that go fast? You know what I mean? Yeah, Lamborghini. So like if you got a Lamborghini, you know what I mean? Like everybody, you want to be able to date somebody that can fit in your Lamborghini. Is that what you're pretty much saying, Antoine?
Yes, you want somebody to fit in your lifestyle. Listen, if you come into I live a very active lifestyle. I'm not one to watch TV and do it. No, I'm no. A sunny day. Let's go on a hike. No. I worked hard this whole week. I want to get out of the house. I don't want to sit in the house.
He's a TV show by itself.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna for what? No, it's two different lifestyles. You can't take the fork out of your mouth. I can. So it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this for you, it may not, but for some, it will. This is one of the things that I've tried to stress when I talk to people about relationships. What fits your relationship is not going to fit everybody else's.
Exactly.
One of the biggest problems that I see on social media now, you know, we kind of touched on the last show where we talked about the 50-50 relationship. What fits one relationship may not fit others. Yeah. Everybody's relationship is not going to be the exact same, and that's one of the biggest problems that's wrong with society now. There's a comparison. You know, somebody sees somebody famous do something, it's like, yeah, that relationship goes. I ain't never felt like that. I don't give a fuck who, not even my parents, and I love my parents to death. I'm 37 years old. My mom and dad have been married 38, 39 years now.
Oh,
but that's still not my relationship goals, because I'm not who my dad is, and I'm not who my mom is. I'm a combination of both of them. So my dad is a very mild-mannered person. He's very soft-spoken until you piss him off. My mama, on the other hand, is like a firecracker. She can be a sparkler, real pretty, and the good to look at, or she can be a goddamn inmate to blow your fucking hand off. Either way it go, I'm a combination. But it's one of the things that I love about myself, because I realize I can listen to them talk, and I can hear myself in what they're saying. But what applies in my household may not apply in somebody else's. You know, what applies in the relationship that I want to be in ain't going to apply in somebody else. And that's one of the problems that we got in society now, is trying to make a comparison or saying that this is what I want in my relationship because this is what they doing. And that's where a lot of that crap come from, is people looking at other people's relationship that's on, I guess, television or radio, whatever, wherever you see other people's relationship, people trying to compare. I ain't never been one of those ones to compare. Ain't nobody got a relationship like I want, and I don't give a damn if it is somebody. I still ain't gonna say that this the same relationship, because it's not, because we're not gonna be the same people. Mm-hmm. The other thing, and I was gonna say something on what Anton said and with what you said, Uncle Junior, your attitude determines your altitude.
Yeah.
And I know Antoine might not like bigger women. I'd like bigger women if they got the right attitude, and not necessarily about the confidence, but how you treat me. Because I don't give a damn what you look like. Honestly, I've gotten to an age where I don't really. I'm not gonna say that I'll date an ugly chick, or I feel like chicks are ugly or anything like that. But like, my mentality is the attitude that you have. Because to everybody else, you may be ugly, but to me, you may be beautiful because of the way you treat me. So the attitude is bigger than anything. You know, if you confident, cool.
But we can't agree, John, that looks gets you over there. You're not going to see her personality and go, wow, that's a great brain. You don't know.
Not with me, though. Not with me. Looks don't.
You can see a personality just by looking.
I listen to how people talk.
No, but I didn't talk about that. I said either way, the visual, something got to get you over there. You're not going to hear her. John, you're not going to hear her across the street. You're not going to hear her from across the street.
But I'm also not one of those people that approach women like that. I'll listen to how a woman talks before I approach her. I've always been like that. Before I got married, and now
her to listen.
Yeah, if she looks attractive, I'm gonna listen to her. But even if she's not the person that I feel like is most physically attractive, you can hear someone not intentionally and they be attracted to them just by hearing. I've been attracted to women before that I've never looked at, but I heard them talking.
No,
you've never been somewhere and hear somebody talking, because of how they were talking, they got your attention?
No, absolutely. Listen, my friends, like I said, I even said my friend's wife, who shall remain nameless. I looked at him and I looked at her and I go, bro, seriously? But when I was like, you got to be effing kidding me, man. Are you kidding me? That's the best you think you can do? But when she opened her mouth, and I went to her house and we talked, I'm like, dude, you scored gold with that one. Because
that's my point. That's why I say I don't now. How I am now, I can actually, if I hear you talk, I would rather hear you talk than actually look at you, because the physical appearance it's only skin deep. I don't get caught up in physical appearances. And the reason I say that is because I can look at a woman that you may not feel attractive, but I want to see what she's talking about, see how she's talking. And that'll get my attention more than what she looks like. She may not be she may not be anything to you, but to me, if I listen to her talk, that might be what I want to talk to.
I agree. But in order for you to listen to her, you at least got to look. You ain't just going to walk up blind. You're going to say something's got to make you turn your head. We're men. We're visual. Right. And I get it. After the talking part, yeah, that plays a big role because, like I said, the looks get you there and her opening her mouth decides if you stay or not. That I agree with you on that. So there is that there. Listen, I'm not saying, how could I say this? I want to make.
I get what you're saying. It's got to be some visual in there. Somewhere.
Yeah,
I agree to an extent to that. I do.
You know,
like you said, but the reason why I said that is because this. Number one, I'm not a going out type person. If I do go out, it's very minimal. But I'm that person that if I see a group of women and I see the one that looks like the oddball, because you know it's always an oddball in a group of women, that's who I look at. Like seriously, she don't have to be the most physically attractive. She ain't got to be skinny with a big ass, big titty, none of that stuff. I look at the one that looks like the oddball because usually she's gonna be the one that's actually got the better attitude out of all of them, in my opinion. You're
probably right too. You know what I mean? There's always the pretty girl that carries the ugly friend to be stared at. I mean, everybody knows that. That's a given. That's like everybody knows that one. Jeez.
Antoine, something else.
It's a truth.
Uncle Junior, what you said before?
Antoine, something else.
That's Antoine at 555.
Antoine Christopher 555. Yeah, 5555.
Come on,
he can be reached any time of day. He can be reached any time of day except when he's creating.
Yeah, there you go. Bitch, don't open my door.
Yeah, don't open my door. Yeah, only when the green light comes on.
But hey, at least I know what I want. At least I know what I want. Listen,
there ain't nothing wrong with having a preference. I'm not mad at you for it. Listen, we all got preferences.
I'll say this: when it comes to being preferential towards women, you also have to understand that you only know what you've seen so far. You know, that goes back to the experiences. Like one of the things that I learned when becoming an entrepreneur, exposure. You know, you may like slim women with a big ass and big titties. So you get over to another country and you meet a woman with no ass and no titties, but that mother love the shit out of your ass. It's a big ass difference. Big difference.
Yeah.
All things are true.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
I agree. But you know, and it's funny, not to speak on my friend, but I asked him, I said, I gotta ask, how did you meet her? And you know, give compliments to John. He says, you know what? We were in a group of people and we were just all talking. And I found myself talking to her more than anybody else. And one thing led to another. So there you go. You know, he goes, if she wasn't the first thing I looked at, I'll be honest with you, she definitely wasn't. But hey, more props to him. You know, and they're happily married today. You know, I mean, they ain't separating for nothing. And like I said, this guy can probably be on a GQ magazine. He's so damn good looking. People probably look at her and go, how the fuck did you land that? You know?
Hey.
But she's the sweetest person.
They say opposites attract.
Yep, I believe in that.
Hey, what do y'all I want to shift to another skill, unless y'all want to get to one first, but the one I want to talk about is one of the valuable skills men need for successful relationships is self-awareness. I think self-awareness is so important. I think having the ability to reassess your situation, current situation, future situations, and then be able to make adjustments from that is super key. You know what I mean? If you don't know that you have communication issues, or if you don't know that you're triggered doing this certain thing, then you can't change, you know? So I think in order to change and evolve for the better, you have to have a certain amount of self-awareness. But I'm definitely open to listen to what you guys think about self-awareness.
I agree with you. That's self-awareness is a big part of it, because you going back to what you said in the beginning about knowing yourself. Like I think a lot of times there's there's a societal way of affecting all of us to where we think that we have to be in a relationship. That's why you have people that jump from relationship to relationship to relationship. But at some point, you gotta, like you said, the self-awareness. You gotta realize, okay, the most common factor in all of these failed relationships is me. So if every relationship is failed, no matter how you want to look at it, you've played a part in it.
Absolutely.
Because it's you got to be aware that, okay, everybody ain't fucked up. At some point, I played a part in the reason why this relationship failed is because of me. I played a part in it, and it doesn't need to be to the level of saying that, oh, I'm a failure, or I'm stupid or anything like that. It just needs to be enough to where you say, okay, I've made mistakes that played a part in this relationship not being what it needed to be. But I also feel like this, you got to be intelligent enough to say, take some time for yourself. You know, I think one of the smartest things that people can do is be single. A relationship does not determine who you are, what you accomplish, how people see you. The society would deem you to be a failure if you ain't married by a certain age, with kids by a certain age. That's the dumbest thing in the world I've ever seen. What you said is key. Being self-aware of what you want. Fuck what society thinks or wants, because you the one that's got to be in a relationship. It goes back to, you know, I think all of us have been in a position where we talked to somebody, we was talking to somebody that our folks or family, friends, or whatever said, nah, I would recommend you talking to that person, but you talk to
Ignore
them.
them.
Yeah.
Ignore them.
Yeah. So it's
ignore the wise counsel.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to realize too that some people, you got to ignore them. Society is one of those situations that you ignore, because society can't deem what you're supposed to do and how you do it.
Yeah, I think society can give you information. I think society can give you information that you can use to add to the information that you already have. But I think but at some point you have to get information from a bunch of different resources in the different situations, and your own experiences. And then once you got all of those things, it's like connecting the dots, and you just come out better in the end. All right, go ahead, man.
and you know, it's funny because I say the same thing, Uncle Junior. There comes a certain, how can I say this? There's a certain time in your life that people say, "Oh, I'm building myself. I'm working on myself. There's a certain part where it comes into your life where enough. If you don't know yourself by now, enough, because life is always going to be evolving. You're always going to be growing, learning new things, discovering something new. But if you don't, there's got to be an age cutoff where Jesus Christmas. You don't know yourself by now. Like,
let's talk about that, because I never really thought about that.
More time. Like, really? Like,
but here's the deal. Like Chris that's on the show, he didn't start getting exposed to certain information until, he was in his 40s. I was like, maybe late 30s. He was like in his late 30s and 40s. I was around the same age, late 30s, early 40s, when I started coming into information and really started finding out who I was. So I don't know what that age is, if it is one. But it took me up into my 40s. Yes, you're absolutely right. I am, and we all are constantly evolving. But where do you think that cutoff point is, to where it's like you said, enough's enough? You've already worked on yourself. You either need to, I don't know, maybe crap or get off the pot.
Dude, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm going to say when you hit your 30s, 35 the latest, right? 35 the latest, dude. Because you got to get to making money. In that time, you're supposed to be in the time you get up to that age, you're supposed to be finding your passion, right? Finding your purpose, growing, learning the do's and don'ts, the birds and the bees, as they say, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, but that's my point exactly.
And that's all compiling.
My point, though. My point is that, like, all of that stuff you said that I should have been doing, or guys should have been doing in their 30s, I didn't know I was supposed to be doing those things. Like, no birdie, no one told me that that's what I was supposed to be doing, like in my 20s, in my 30s, and like no one told me. I just happened to stumble across a couple of podcasts, and the pandemic happened, and then next thing you know, I came out of everything with a whole bunch of brand new information and a whole new look on life. But I don't know. It's like I've asked before. I don't understand why I didn't get it earlier. Like I feel like I kind of got cheated.
Well, in a sense, you did because your surroundings wasn't made for it.
But it was like I was in the Army for 20 years, man. Like I was around senior non-commissioned officers, leaders, officers. I was around top dog alpha males like all the time.
But
so it had to been me.
I was just about to say that. It not necessarily you, but it had to be you in some way aiding the situation you're in, right? Either you were too prideful to ask the right questions, too scared to ask the right questions, didn't feel you needed the help, and you probably at that time weren't receptive to take the help anyways, right? But let's just and that there's certain pockets in life that happens like that to certain people. They're not fortunate enough. It's just like some people aren't fortunate enough to grow up in a great country like the U.S. and where you can make anything happen in your life dreams and all that sort of stuff. Some people are lucky like that, right? And some are. You can be born in a third world country, starving every day, but you're a genius, right? You're a genius, but you just didn't have the opportunity to express yourself with it. So, but that being said, let's just say you had the right environment, and I'm not just saying, and you're in a 2-parent household or a 1-parent household. But the thing is, you do have the surround. Like I say, if you don't have a mentor in the house, you go out and find one. I would tell anybody that, and I believe in that because there's a lot of great mentors. I didn't grow up with. Let me tell you something. If I grew up in the age of social media, holy shit, I'd be like killing it by now because they got access to everything. I mean, across the world, access, and you just got to drop $15 a month and get a mentor or somebody you could talk to every week or whatever it is. But there comes a time when you got to look in the mirror and take accountability to say, I fucked up. Like, I fucked up. You got
to get to the age to do that too. I know I came back on the tail end there, but I from what I caught, there's a fine line of accepting responsibility for where you are in life, as well as realizing that how you raised affects you. That's I think I've had a conversation with a couple of people on Facebook today that talk about getting counseling or counseling. What else do they say? But basically just counseling or therapy, going to therapy. One of the things that I feel like we miss out on is if we aren't raised, because I'm pretty sure even though y'all older than me, we probably was raised about the same, but how you're raised plays a bigger part on what type of person you are than people really willing to accept. One of the things that I've learned with trying to be an entrepreneur or aspiring to be an entrepreneur is when you haven't been taught these things, it's a hard road. It's a real hard road. I wasn't raised around people that work for themselves. I was raised around people that work for someone. So everything I'm learning, and I'm learning it the hard way because I didn't have people around me to try to instill in me that this is something that you can actually accomplish. And not having people to really support you and believe in you on that road plays a big part too. But how we're raised plays a bigger part than we're willing to accept. And all honesty, I feel like a lot of men, period, need to be, black men, white men, whatever, need to be in therapy because our parents can cause or have caused a lot of trauma in our lives. And it wasn't intentionally, but it was just, they thought that they was doing what was best for us. So now we are here trying to figure out what life is and how to navigate through life without any type of GPS whatsoever. We just kind of hitting speed bumps and potholes and dead ends because we don't know how to navigate through it. And it's something that we're damaging our kids with as well. But at some point you got to realize you played a part, but you also got to let that shit go. You got to forgive yourself. That's one of the things that it was in the discussion. Girl, she made a post. She's a tattoo artist. And we kind of talked about it on the post, but she was talking about how she's not a licensed therapist. I can be the therapist while I'm doing this tattoo, but once you're done with the tattoo, you need to seek somebody else. And I told her, I agree with that. I agree with that 100% because as men, I think all of us do that. When we get in certain positions, it makes us vulnerable. We go to the barbershop, we might have personal conversations. We go get a tattoo. Now as y'all can see, I got several of them, and most of my tattoos took a long time to get. So in that tattoo process, you get to talking. You get to talk about personal stuff. Getting haircuts, we do that. Just it's certain things that we let our guard down and we have conversations. But the reality is this: forgive yourself and understand that you ain't perfect. You got to learn somehow. At some point, you got to realize, okay, yeah, I fucked up in my 20s. I'm fucking up in my 30s, but I'm learning and I'm not making the same mistakes twice.
Mm-hmm. 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 And I always speak, I don't know if John, if you're aware, but I always spoke on, I messed up, I would say in my 30s. Yeah, I wouldn't say I messed up. Wait, let me think. When I say mess up is that I focused so much on work and what I wanted to do that I missed out on some great opportunities with women that probably would have been the best. But I was so focused on not wanting to have a life of struggle. I was like, no, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to worry about medical bills. I'm not going to be, right? And I always speak on that. And I don't encourage any young man to take my route as far as cutting the rest of the world out to pursue your dreams. I think you should pursue your dreams. But I think that old saying of, lift your head up and smell the roses it would be key if I had done that in certain areas. I wouldn't be single right now. I'd be married already, I think.
Well, but I'm gonna say this I've had this conversation several times with one of my business partners. Truth be told, if it was meant to happen, it would have happened no matter what. My personal opinion. I've always felt like that. If it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen. The thing about it is it's one of the things that we talk about in this business, because in financial service we talk about people making six figures and living the life how they want to and all that good stuff. But I'm saying that to say this: if it had have happened at that time, do you really think that you would have appreciated? Would it have actually lasted? It's just like my ex-wife. If we had actually gotten married where I am now mentally, we stay married for a long time, if not forever, because I now understand things better and I would have done things differently. But see, that's one of the things. That's why I say you got to forgive yourself, because I'm not gonna say that that's the wrong thing. I honestly feel like that's the best thing for any man right now, is to focus on accomplishing their goals and their dreams, and not have the distraction of a woman. If y'all remember from the first show that I was on, I talked about, for most men, a woman is a distraction, because you're going to put time and effort into that relationship and take that time and effort away from your business and your goals. So if you take that time and effort and put all of it into what you're trying to accomplish, it becomes very, I'm not going to say difficult, I'm not going to say hard, but it becomes trying to find one that's going to actually care for you about who you are and not what you have to offer. But the reality of it is this: you have those goals accomplished. I don't have to find somebody that I'm going to be building with. I just need to find somebody that's going to complement what I've already built. So I don't feel like that was wrong.
No, well, I'll tell you why it was wrong in a sense. And when I say wrong in a sense, like I said, towards relationship wise, because I did the pushing, right? And anybody that knows me would tell you, oh, Antoine, you did the pushing, bro. You had a good one that would stand by your side. And the minute she opened her mouth the wrong way that stopped you from going home to do what you needed to do, you were like, yeah, then stay out. I don't need you right now, though. Where I should have handled that totally differently, right? I can look back now with the experience I have now as a man at the age that I'm at now and go, yeah, I could have handled that. That was a keeper. I could have handled that better, because she was rocking with me. So
that's like what I said today earlier.
And I tell you, man, I love where I'm sitting in life, but I still would give the advice to young kids coming up that want to do it and want to do it right, to lift their head up and smell the roses, because when you get to my age, you really have to weed out the bad ones. You're really looking for the weeds in the grass. It really is like, whoa.
But here's the thing, and I don't want to cut you off, but here's the thing. It's better that you're at the age that you are, because you can see them better. See,
true. Now it's like,
yeah. See, I think we've all had that time in our life that everybody feels like, yeah, you pushed a good one away. I know I do for sure.
Yeah, the one that got away. I admit that.
I had one that was platinum.
Yeah,
he was She supported me. She cooked. She cleaned. We worked together on shit. It was perfect. And I fucked that up. But that here again, that also goes back to knowing yourself. But I wanted to say this because I don't know if any of y'all saw this from my post earlier, but I made a post today about exactly what you just said. Sometimes I wish I went another route on certain shit, but you live and you learn. That's the benefit. You live and you learn. That's why I say it wasn't really a mistake. It wasn't really bad. You did the best thing that was for you, because now you have a view that you wouldn't have had if you were making different decisions when you were young. You lived and you learned. For all of us, that's the thing. And that goes back to what I said last week when we were on the show about learning who you are. It's on anything that's outside of you, you're going to make bigger mistakes than you would if you focusing on yourself. Focusing on yourself is probably the best thing that all of us could do.
Man, you know what? Like I said, man, I have no regrets in the position that I'm in. I'm only thriving to do better. But I think the cutoff age, is got to be in your 30s, mid 30s. That's it. You got to know yourself by then. I'm not saying find your purpose, your goal. That's always going to be a life journey, because everything in what I'm doing today keeps changing.
Okay, I got you now. I got you.
Yeah, everything that I'm doing today is changing. I'm not going to say your purpose is your purpose and you're finding your niche and you're going to have a job along the way, but to find a career and a job are two different things, right? So you're looking to find your career and you're hoping your job helps your career. Meaning if you have an inspiration or inspired to be an artist or something creative and all that, you got to have a job to support that, right? So you're going to be doing that. So I would say, hands down, it's not like you're studying to be a lawyer and then you have to pass the bar and then boom, you look for a practice and you're in, right? Or a doctor, boom, you look for an internship, you're in, or a nurse and whatnot. Those aren't fields like I'm talking about. I'm talking about stuff creatively that you want, entrepreneurship, that you want to grow a company and t-shirts and, stuff like that. I think that you really, that's a whole nother story.
I think one of the things that both of you guys talked about or mentioned was time management. Like you talked about like having a girl and, wasting time for young men. And then Antoine talk about, the things that he went through and how he prolonged or waited on a relationship to focus on his career.
Yeah.
And, and I think, that's one of the things that men need themselves in their relationships to have a successful relationship is time management. Because like if you're moving, you shaking, you doing a whole bunch of things, like you got to be able to manage your time. You know what I mean? And if you're going to be in a relationship, like you have to give that woman some time. Like you have to give your job some time, and that's vice versa. You know what I mean? But we mostly, just speaking from a man's point of view, is that like, because I'm always busy. You know what I mean? Like I work and then I come home, and then for the most part, like I'm at home by like, let's say 4:45, right? So that's like, and then at like 6 o'clock, I come upstairs and I work and do, other things that I'm trying to build, to continue to grow. And so I got like an hour and 15 minutes with my wife on most days or whatever in the evening. And then I'm up here and then I go back downstairs at 10. But I make sure that, a couple times a month or so, or at least something, we do something, whether it go to the movies. Sometimes we'll go to breakfast, I get up, go do something. We may go to Waffle House or something, but and then you have to have time for yourself. You know what I mean? To make sure that your cup is always full. And like Coach said, it's like your cup is full and overflowing, and then you give people what's overflowing. So being able to manage your time, being able to manage your day in order to produce your desired outcomes are huge. And like I said, especially in a relationship, because don't no woman, just in general, don't want you to spend all your time away. At the same time, you have to pick someone that's compatible, that understands your schedule as well, and understands that the hours that you put in, and you have to communicate that effectively to let her know, hey, look, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be hustling. I'm going to be grinding. At the same time, I'll make sure that I value you, and I'll make sure that you get your time as well. So like I said, man, time management is super huge, I think, because you got so much stuff going on.
Yeah. And I'll even piggyback to tell you, man, like now I'm able to say, listen, like I didn't know before, but I'm able to say, listen, I am grinding. This is my do's and don'ts. This is how it is. When you see my studio light on and it's red, This is how I operate. This is how I function. I'm able to like really, you know, compartmentalize it, you know, and able to say,
It's,
I'm able to give you that time.
I was gonna say it's funny how our conversations kind of circle around each other. This everything that was said, it goes back to what you said about how do you know your communication is actually good communication. Because it's being an entrepreneur, when you're in a relationship, I think that's one of the key components that you have to have if you're an entrepreneur in a relationship.
Right.
You gotta have some communication, because if you don't communicate what's going on, I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, the right woman is gonna understand without you saying anything. But a good woman, if you do explain to it, it's not gonna be any type of I feel neglected type shit. When the last relationship I was in, I went through that. And what was crazy was everything that I was doing, she knew. She knew that I was actually working. She knew I was at the office. I was going back and forth between the office and trying to build my business. She knew that, and still told me that she felt neglected. So that's one of the things that falls under that good communication. That's something we definitely all have to work on.
So she pretty much just wasn't receptive, or she's just, even though you communicated it effectively, she still wanted more time.
Honestly, it was, and I hate to say,
I ain't trying to dig up no old scars or nothing.
Oh no, I'm good. It don't bother me. I just know that if it makes it back to her, it'd be something said at some point somewhere. Okay. But the honest to God truth was, and this was something that was told to me by an older woman that I'm friends with. She said it sounded like she was jealous because we were both in the business, and my success was actually higher than hers in the business. And she was like, any woman that realizes that a man is actually working should be accepting of the fact that if you working, I should be accepting of the fact that if I want to be with you, that you working and let you work. Now, if I need some time, then I know at some point you care about me, you're gonna make some time, and which I did. I just wasn't making a whole lot of time, because I mean, when business moving, anybody know when you're in business for yourself, when things start picking up, you don't want to slow that momentum down to your pace. You want it to keep going so you catch up with the momentum. Because being an entrepreneur, when momentum get to moving, you don't slow it down. You jump on the pace that it's moving at, so it continues. Because if you slow it down, eventually it's gonna stop. But yeah, that situation it was one of them situations where I lived and I learned.
Antoine, what you got on time management? You muted.
Man, you know what? Time management is so important. And I learned that the hard way because I messed up on a lot of projects, and and then with working out projects, next thing you know, it's the next day already and you're running late, but you don't want to not work out. So you want to work out, but damn, you're like, but I have to get this done, but you don't want to miss your workout. But so you go miss your workout. So you go to work out and you still come back, end up staying up late, coffeeing it all night, only to wake up sloppy the next morning, sleep in late, and look what you have to do. So it's so important as men, we focus on this time management. I can't stress that enough. That what you guys said there is key. Oh my, and I'm still working on stress management. I'm a stress man. Yeah, I'm still working on it. Time management. I'm still working on it, and I think it'll always be
evolving.
Huh?
It's evolving. It's always evolving because our schedules are changing. Things are changing. Like, I was doing a show, and then I was, jumping on Coach's show. I think at once or twice, and then football season started for my son, and then I started taking pictures for the other team. So everything that I was doing on Thursday and Friday, I had to stop. You know what I mean, for doing football season. So that means my schedule had to change. That means instead of me being able to get off, have the show on Wednesday, edit the video on Thursday, drop some, I didn't have that time in the evening to go and do those things. So time management is huge. And like I said, it's always changing.
Always, man.
Always.
Oh, I just laugh.
Go ahead.
No. I just said I could laugh just hearing you say it. It's like so true, man.
What's another skill out there that y'all can think of that men need to have in order to have a successful relationship?
Man, we've talked about communication and time management. I think being able to focus. You need to be able to focus, and I say that because it's a lot of things that falls under the umbrella of being able to focus. Understanding that your job is your job. Leave that separate from home. You know, a lot of people say that, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it is. It is definitely something that if you have a job, even with business, because business can be stressful as hell. I mean, you being in business for yourself can be stressful as hell, but you got to be able to focus on what you're trying to accomplish. Focus on, you know, what was the purpose of you getting married? Focusing on what was the purpose of you starting that business. All of it's a matter of being able to focus on whatever the reason is behind it. Having a clear path of focus is one thing, but just being able to focus, you got to be able to do that.
You know what? You know, when you said having a successful, what was the question again? Say it again, Garfield. The way you said it. What is the?
Oh, some valuable skills men need to have a successful relationship.
You know what? I will say this, and this is, I think, it's so important because I learned this too the hard way. I think the best way to have a successful relationship is make sure the woman you choose is the woman you need, not what you want. The type of woman you need that's going to be on your program. Because you can want whatever you want, right? And she can be a certain way, and that's what you want. You lusting over it. But is it what you really need to make your life peaceful and humble and good and grow? Is she really what you need in order to build? And I learned that the hard way, right? So I would say to make a successful relationship, really find out if it's the type of woman you need in your life. Yeah, that's so important, man.
Yeah, I think similar but different. I think that you can have both. I know a lot of times we talk about, you know, if someone is this way, then they probably come with this. And if they're this way, then they probably come with that. You know, it's like, you know, if they're pretty, they may have a ugly attitude. You know, if she's maybe a little plump, she may be more nice. Who knows? But I think that you can have relationships, you can have what you need and what you want in the same thing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with men seeking out that too, because I think that's what we want in the end anyway. Like, what better thing to have than to have something that you want and that you need all wrapped up in the same thing. You know what I mean? So, and I think that maybe where we kind of hinted at when Antoine just said balance is important. You know what I mean? So maybe you may, let's just use this as an example. Instead of getting like an 8, 9, or a 10, you may come down to maybe a 5 or a 6 to get more femininity and maybe, you know, other things in a relationship. And I think that's, for me, what I'm thinking about, you know, as a kind of piggybacking off what you said, and then inputting the balance in there as something that's important for a successful relationship as well.
And yeah, like I know, see, I have, you know, femininity plays a big part in my life. I look for that. I need femininity. I don't.
Would you go down on looks for more femininity?
Yes. I want you to cross your legs, form a proper sentence. Yes.
Do you think most men would? What do you think, John? Let me ask you real quick. Would you go down on looks for more femininity in a woman?
Oh,
or maybe femininity not your thing. I was assuming.
I don't know. It just depends, because I'm being completely honest. I'll blatantly say it. I do not know what I want in a woman for real, and I say that simply because the experiences I've had with the last few relationships that I was in, I had bits and pieces of what I wanted from all of them, even counting my ex-wife. But it was I'm gonna go back to something y'all said in a minute, but like for me, I do want a feminine woman, but then I also like I laugh about stuff that I see on Facebook, but then I'll actually be like, damn, that shit make a point. But as a guy, he made a joke and he was like, he can't be with no woman that can't fight. And he was he's one of those comedians that's coming out. He's basically coming up through social media, but he was making a joke like I can't be with you if you can't fight, because he was like, if a female talking shit, he was like, I don't believe in putting my hands on a female. I got to be able to pick up the phone, call you, and be like, hey, this bitch she just punched me. You need to come whoop her ass. And I laughed about it, but then I was like, damn, that's kind of logical, because in a situation where if something pop off, I don't want to be in no position where I'm putting my hands on a woman. I want my old lady to handle it. And it's like, I'm not going to be the type of person to put myself in that position intentionally. But if that happens, I do want my old lady to be able to fight. She need to be able to, need to be able to knock a chick the hell out. But am I looking for the a tomboy? No, I ain't gonna say that, because I know I ain't looking for no tomboy. So femininity is important. But what I was gonna say, I was gonna go back to, I disagree with Antoine, but I also agree with him somewhat on finding the woman that you need instead of the woman you want. I disagree because I feel like you need to find the woman that you want and not the one that you need. Because if you need a woman, then that kind of borderlines on the in a sense to say that I'm not enough, so I need you to become the other part. Me personally, I don't feel like I'll ever need a woman. Because I mean, being completely honest, and I know we talked about this before. Me and Vic had a conversation about this. Me personally, I don't feel like I need a woman for nothing but sex. I know how to cook, know how to clean, pay my bills. I take care of myself.
That's
so the only thing that a woman can offer me is sex. So I don't need a woman, but I want one. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I say I disagree, because I don't need anybody in my life, but I want somebody in my life. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only reason why I say I disagree. But everybody feels differently when it comes to that. And I feel
when I was saying want, I meant as in physically. All right.
Physically. Oh yeah, most definitely. Because that, like I said, for me, I got like every relationship that I've been in, is even my marriage. I ain't gonna say my marriage. But the relationships that I've been in after my marriage, it was kind of a little balanced. You know, I cook, she cooked.
Without getting into your personal business, because there's no way I want to touch that. But
I'm just saying.
I want to ask it in this way: did you fail your marriage, or your marriage failed you?
Both. I say I don't.
Kind of be one or the other, though. I mean, you can't say could be a piece of it, but one has to. What triggered it to say that? It both. It's like when somebody says, "Who broke up with who?" Well, we both agreed. No, somebody.
I'll say this: I filed for divorce, but the reason we got divorced because I wanted to. My ex-wife didn't really want to get divorced, but we weren't going to be together. The reason why the divorce happened, the separation and the divorce happened, because I cheated, but I cheated because of the things that I was lacking in the relationship. I don't feel like I should have to beg anyone to be my spouse. If we married, and especially as long as me and my ex-wife had been together, me and my ex-wife was together a total of 17 years. 7 legally married, 10 of us dating off and on. She knew what type of person I was. I'm not the type of person that, we talked about this on the last show. I don't expect for my wife to sleep with me every single day, but I've got a healthy sex life that I want to maintain. If we together, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I got what I feel like is a healthy sex life. We got to find a happy median on that. Me and her couldn't find that. Then the other thing was,
I agree with you on that, by the way.
The other thing was the issues that we had outside of the physical part. One of the things that I saw somebody say on Facebook not too long ago, it was talking about men don't get complimented enough. That's something I can honestly, to God, say that I remember the only time that I got complimented when I was married, and it was a long time ago. But stuff like that, as well as the fact that I felt like I wasn't appreciated, that's why we got divorced. So that's why I say it was both of them. The marriage failed me, but I also failed the marriage because I didn't fight as hard as I could have. I could have fought harder, but I just chose not to. But it's
because You see, I don't. You see, I can understand when you say you didn't want. You could have fought, but you didn't fight. If it was really worth it, I think you would have slugged it down. Because I think you would have slugged it down if it was really worth it and you really something that you wanted to be in. Because we're men. We're men. I mean, we will. We will like slug it.
I agree, but let me say this for you. Continue. Let me say this.
No, go ahead.
There was. I did fight, but here's the reality of fighting in a relationship. It takes two.
Yeah.
It wasn't a matter of I didn't feel like there was no reason to fight or I didn't want to fight. It was just a matter of I was fighting by myself. So I gave in. That's why I say it's both. The marriage failed me, but I also failed the marriage because I was fighting, but I was fighting alone. So.
Because you said that she wanted it. That's why I was a little confused.
No, she didn't want to get divorced. She wanted us to stay married, but she didn't want to be with me. That was the thing. That was something. That was something that her family. She's had family members do. They stayed married, but they weren't together. I don't play that shit.
Benefits.
Fuck no. Hell no.
People that say that, man. As a businessman, when people tell you there's benefits to be married, I'm looking at them like, what are you talking about? There's no real benefits that you're going, live large. There's certain tax write-offs, certain tax breaks, but it's not like it's going to be life-changing for you, whether you with her or not. That's why I understand when people say that.
Well, I would say this. For me, it's more than, for me, it's the ultimate sign of commitment that you can give to a woman that you love and that you want to be with.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That woman, when she's that woman, then she's that woman. So I'm gonna say this, and this is y'all may not like this, but maybe after I say it, maybe you may get it. Right? So me personally, I need a woman. There ain't no ifs, ands about it. But I only need this woman. Part of my purpose and part of who I am as a man is to be a husband. So the only way I can be a husband is I have to have a wife, which means I need to have a woman. So for me, I need a woman. In the sense that you guys are talking, can I function without one? Absolutely. You know what I mean? I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to iron my own clothes. I know how to turn on GPS and get from point A to point B. You know what I mean? So when it comes to being able to function and to be able to live my life, I don't need a woman. When it comes to me being, not in the wrong way, Antoine, but when it comes to me being whole and being able to fulfill my purpose as a man, then part of my purpose is what was revealed to me is that you are supposed to be a husband. So in that sense, I do need a woman. But also, like I said, I can function fine by myself. Like when I was single, like you learn a lot about yourself when you're single. You have infinite time to yourself and to your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You can go 100% in on yourself. You can grind hard. You ain't got nobody to come home to. You ain't got nobody to answer to. Or you can get sad. You can get into that funk for a long time and never get out of it. Because after my first wife left me, I was in a funk. I was suicidal, all of the stuff. People like, what, you? I'm like, absolutely. That's how bad it hit me because I had put everything, at least I thought at the time, I had put so much stock into that relationship. I thought that, when you get married, you stay married forever. And so when we broke up the first time, like I said, that's what happened. And those were real thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And luckily, this is a safe base to be able to have that, to be able to say that. But I think that that's something that a lot of men deal with. When there's a breakup, a lot of times we'll go into a funk, we'll get suicidal, all the bad things. And I think we don't get the help that we need. And then sometimes we're in that place for a long time. But I know I kind of went off topic, but
no, that's perfect.
I did want to, get back to the point where it's like for me, and as far as me being able to fulfill my purpose as a man, as a husband, I do need that woman and just from that. So
and I, me, and I'll say this too. The only reason I want to get married is to have kids. That's it. I mean, yes, of course you want the companionship. I'm not, I don't want to sound so cold that it's just about me, but that's the only reason I would get married, right? Because you can get everything else in a relationship without being married to get what else can come up. The only reason I would get married is to have a kid. That's the only reason I want to get married. If I had my kids already and marriage did not work, I would be the biggest right man right here by myself alone. I wouldn't want to get married. I'd have my companion, that I can lock out of the house anytime she wants, anytime she mess up. I would have it like that. I would have, don't follow the breadcrumbs back home. Don't leave more than a suitcase here.
Goddamn red light
about the breadcrumbs.
Hey, that goddamn red light on. Don't you bring your ass in.
Bro, exactly. Don't come in here like that, Antoine.
That's the only reason I see marriage for. I don't see it for any other companionship purposes. Not even like they say the whole tax thing that you don't get much. But anyways, that's why I'm saying.
I know we coming up on the end of the show. Let me say this.
Go ahead.
Let you get the mic back. I agree with both of y'all. And I respect that because you know what your purpose is, and your purpose requires you to have a wife. I respect the hell out of that because most men, one of the things that I think we all experience, we've all seen, we've all grown up around is seeing men that try to play that role like I'm the head nigga in charge, but in reality, it ain't like that.
I'm dead too.
But the thing about it is
you stuff like I'm supposed to have a wife.
But that's what I'm saying. I respect that because you're man enough to say that I need a wife to fulfill my purpose. You got a lot of them that won't say that, so I respect the hell out of that. And like I said, I'm not saying that I don't want one. I do definitely want one, but just right now, my focus is on me trying to better myself. If a woman comes along and is able to get my attention and help me to see some things that I'm not, then yeah, she got a fighting chance. But as of right now,
yeah, that's great and that's good that you want to work on yourself like that. Antoine, red light, stay out. What the hell?
Hey, look, you said that on the last show. You said that red light on, bitch, you better not come in here.
Right there, it's big. It's right there. It's green. The door's open. The minute the door closes, it's red.
I made that for that. I made that just for you, Antoine.
I like that actually. I'm gonna keep that one. It is though. That's how it is. That's how it works. That's how I work. But like I said, I love communicating. And I that's why this podcast is so important for me. That's why I dedicate Wednesdays to this podcast because I love being able to have these conversations and communicate how I am. I'm not as strict as people think, but I know what I want. I know what would make me happy.
You got zero issues for me, Antoine. I have no problem with any man who knows exactly what they want in a woman. Zero. You know what I mean? I think that some of us on the other side may think that may be an unrealistic expectation, but everybody who made it to the top, I guarantee you there was a whole crowd of people who told them that they couldn't climb the top. So if that's what you feel like you deserve and that you want and you can get, bro, you ain't never hear anything with me. You ain't gonna never hear anything, from me about that. I'm gonna take a couple minutes to shout out a couple more people. Hey man, True Man Podcast. He said, respect this discussion and salute the fellas. Check out his podcast. He just started not too long ago. Hop on over there. I'll drop the link actually at the end, so it'll be in there.
Good.
Hey, Coach. At the end of the day, he got some things going on. He couldn't make it today. He's in the chat. Greetings. Antoine, we always got to shout out him. He's always joined us. Appreciate you so much for always supporting the show. And then back to this conversation, Coach again, I understand what he is saying. The worst fight you can ever be in is when you are fighting the other person to commit to the relationship. Totally get that, man. Totally get that. Like you said, John, you cannot fight by yourself. You cannot fight by yourself.
Pointless.
Yeah. So, hey, what we're going to do, man, we about to wrap up. But before we do, I do want to give everybody an opportunity to close out with their final thoughts. Let's start with you, John, and then we'll go to you, Antoine. Y'all cool with that?
That'll work.
All right.
I guess, but the key, or from what we discussed tonight, I would say for all men that are watching, as well as women, figure out what good communication sounds like. Figure out what good communication is for you. Figure out what your niche is when it comes to talking to people, especially your significant other, your coworkers, your relationships outside of business and work, friendships, because those are relationships as well. But good communication is the key to, for me, I feel like that's the basis of any relationship, is having good communication. Because if I can't express to you something clearly, we're going to bump heads just because I didn't communicate it clearly enough, or because I didn't communicate it in a manner that was understandable for you. So for me, communication, man, we all need to work on
it. I would say, listen, I can't stress communication enough, because I think I'm a very good communicator and a big fan of communication. Also, don't be scared to say in the relationship what you want. It's okay. Lay it down. This is what I want. This is what I expect. Now, of course, there's a compromise and there's a give and take. I get all that, but you should be able to 100% express to that woman what you want and what you expect in the relationship. Damn her feelings or not. Just like she should be able to 100% tell you what she wants out of the relationship. So you could see, honestly, if you come together, it will work, right? Because no one has time to waste. I don't have time to waste in my life right now. I have my 3 main questions I always ask a woman, and I'll never stop asking those questions, and she has to get all 3 right. Right. And after she gets all 3 right, then I can say to myself, okay, you know what? There's something there. I'm not going off looks, although looks get me over there. And my lifestyle gets me over there, because I know what I want and what would work in my lifestyle. And don't be scared. Now, men, as far as relationships, everybody wants a dime, but can you afford a dime? Because it costs money. A relationship costs money, especially if you want to be this big time provider and do all this, and you want her to stay home, cook and clean. It costs money in today's world. That was great back in my parents' days, but today it's a little different when you're paying all the bills. Just a cell phone bill is $160. I don't know what phone anybody else has, but so I would say that as well. That's very, very important. And be realistic. Be realistic in what you want to do and what you have and what you want in somebody. Don't overreach. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone for being here today. I appreciate everybody who's been in the chat. I appreciate everybody who watched at home. We will be back on again live next week, and we will see you all again. Have a good one. We are out.